We back with another video today, man. Today we're gonna be going over Uros versus guy that just got out of prison, Daniel Rodriguez. So Daniel Rodriguez, pretty solid fighter. Again, we have no clue how he's gonna look. Uros he's been knocking everybody out. So not the best card, not gonna lie. But we got a couple cool fights here and there. We got Uros versus Daniel. Honestly, I think it'll be entertaining. I think people are over. I looked up a lot of these Serbian guys. I didn't know who they were coming into it, but if you really go give it a chance, they're actually exciting. Now, it's not the highest level, of course, but they come to try to finish fights for the most part. But yeah, decent little card. Let's get right into it. So number one, we got Marina Spazic versus Stephanie Luciano. So Stephanie Luciano, she's been improving rapidly. She's coming up in the, what is this? This is the strawweight division. So come over to her. Now, her previous fights don't look that interesting, but again, she has made improvements. She's actually fighting good competition. She has a couple submissions on her record. Two, yeah. So mainly going to decisions. I'm surprised she only has one submission because she is an amazing grappler. And I think she's going to showcase that. If you go look up Marina Spazic, again, it's not the highest level of competition. It looked a really low level, to be honest. But overall, she was just striking the whole time in a not against great opposition. So I think Stephanie is just the better prospect, and she should showcase a pretty good grappling match here. I think she's going to submit her in the second round. But go over to Jovan Lika versus Alexander Popic. So this dude is a tank. He is a beast. If you go look him up, you're going to see like the biggest guy ever just bullet. Like, yeah, he fights kind of exactly how he looks, if that makes sense. But on the other hand, Alexander Popic, I think he's taking this on short notice. So that alone, I'm pretty sure is a light heavyweight too, and his fights looked even lower level. Jovan was actually fighting decent opposition and getting pretty good finishes, as the fight kept wearing on and things like that. So Alexander Popic, yeah, he just didn't look all that impressive, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Jovan to knock him out in probably the first round. I think he's probably going to have 50 pounds on him. So 50 is extreme. Most likely it'll be like 30, but yeah, minus 230. I think that should be higher. Give me Jovan knocking out Alexander in the first round. Yeah. Nina Milosevic versus Haley Cohen. So Haley Cohen, she's coming off. I think she's winless in the UFC. I'm pretty sure she has not won a fight. Not too active either. And then we got Nina on the other hand. She's a solid Serbian prospect. So if you go look mainly into her film, it's kind of on a feet, technical. Just overall more technical fighter. Actually decent. Well, again, not the highest level, but she does pass the eye test for being somewhat decent. She doesn't. Her endurance was a little untested. It looked really slow going into the third rounds and most of her fights. She has some 5-round fights, and those look super slow as well. But overall, she should win this fight. I think she's just a more skilled fighter here. Minus 450. So yeah, she's a heavy favorite. That's pretty crazy, but most likely Haley doesn't have a shot at winning the fight realistically. So, yeah, Nina by decision, just a technical breakdown, no damage, pretty boring fight. Matus Resbecki versus Kyle Prepelic. Matus Resbecki, this dude's fights are crazy. Mainly fight of the nights, going to war with everyone. So get super bloody. He is susceptible to damage. I don't like that about him. Like, he looks like he just got in a car accident at the end of his fights, whether he's winning or losing. His record is, so it's funny because he used to be this undefeated guy, a lot of KOs and things like that. He hasn't been able to knock anyone out recently. I'm not sure. I think it, and he's throwing pretty powerful shots, Matus Resbecki. He is yeah, just one of those exciting, hard punching gunslingers. But his fight IQ is horrible. That's what's also holding him back from greatness. Um, Cal Prepelec, on the other hand, I think he was the one that got manhandled in Canada versus, yeah, he's Canadian. So he got manhandled in Canada by our guy, Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis, now he did take this fight on short notice, but came out in the home country and he had nothing to offer for BSD. BSD was basically just stinking up the place and was just beating him up. Um, it wasn't bad enough to where you could like he was in trouble, but he was just getting beat up. And then eventually BSD did find a submission. So, yeah, it was a really poor performance. BSD really just imposed his will, and I don't like to see that. I mean, that's what Rembeki is known for, is imposing his will. Um, Again, 20-5 in his career. Majority of those losses are in his last stretch. I think he's like 1-4 in his last fight. But again, he's going to wars with decent opposition. I mean, some you would expect Rebecca to eventually knock somebody out by now, but he hasn't been able to do it. But yeah, overall, if he comes into this with fight, I mean, this shouldn't really be too competitive. I think if you were getting beat up by BSD on the feet, Rebecca's going to do pretty bad things. So minus 650 favorite. I don't know what this matchup even is. Why do we make that? But Dennis Bazooka versus Bogdan Grad. Bogdan Grad, I think the last time I seen him, he got knocked out by Luke Riley. Who Luke Riley is a pretty good striker, whether you like it or not. So it's not the worst thing ever to get knocked out by him, but of course you don't want to see that. So Bazooka, on the other hand, he 12-6 in his last couple fights, and I'm not even trying to be funny here, but some of the times he's been knocked out, it looks like he got hit by a bazooka, because that's how bad he's been getting put out in his last couple fights. So, he is pretty skilled. They're both pretty skilled fighters. Bogdan had a decent run, not against the best opponents, but, somewhat reputable career. He's decently high level out of Romania or Austria. So, not the most popular area, but a pretty solid fighting style. Like, he's not horrible. He's okay. Dennis, yeah, I don't really think he has a shot at winning this fight. He's just been getting put out too badly. Um, Anytime a fighter's getting knocked out like that, you cannot pick them realistically, unless they're one of those cannons that kind of dishes it back out. Some people are chinny, but they still have the power to put a lot of these dudes out. So they might get wins here and there, but I don't think Dennis is doing that. So give me Bogdan Grad by decision. Should be either, I don't, yeah. I don't think Bogdan's that powerful to just floor out Dennis like the other people. He was fighting pretty powerful people, but he could knock him out. But who is Bogdan really knocking out? So we'll see what happens there. Borislav Nikolic versus Mark Volligan. This is the guy off the Contender Series that had like Fight of the Year contender. He's like 5'3". That's the thing I really don't like about him. Obviously, I don't want to say like about him. He can't control it. But you know what I mean? I don't like about picking him is he's 5'3". On his Borislav, on the other hand, he has some pretty entertaining fights if you go watch him. Like, I'm so his regional scene, it was one of the better ones. A lot of these Serbian guys are coming off something called like Octagon 77, and it wasn't really high level competition. But if you go to Borislav, he was actually, where is it? Where where does he fight? Okay, it's not. Oh, there it is. Brave. Yes, Brave. Yes, Brave. Solid promotion. So Borislav is pretty good. Like, he has a lot of good wins. He's pretty gritty. Like, he's very tough. He pushes a high pace. He maintains it for most of the fight. He's a really good fighter. So Mark Volligan, on the other hand, he is a pretty technical striker, but going to war with a guy like that on a Contender Series versus Borislav, who's pretty experienced in his career, 5'9", on the other hand, has the experience. I'm pretty sure he has the age advantage as well. So I don't know how Mark is going to really get through that. He was fighting a really small guy on the Contender Series. And yeah, he was throwing some pretty cool strikes, but overall, he didn't really do anything. You know what I'm saying? He didn't finish him or have him beat to the pulp or anything like that. But looks good. He is a skilled fighter. I just don't think that the genetics are there. Unfortunately, with the power and the obviously his stature. Borislav should get it done. 15-minute fight. They're both tough. I don't think he's gonna knock Mark out. I think he's just gonna beat him up for 15 minutes. Showcase striking. Should be pretty entertaining. So Oban Elliott versus Michael Oliveira. Oban Elliott, we know him. Really tough guy, really pretty solid everywhere guy, decently level fighter. But that's the thing with Oban Elliott is he's just decent. He's a good fighter, and that's about it. Good fighter. There's not anything really standing out in the game. He has good striking. He has an okay chin, but you can knock him out. Like he's kind of the most overall good fighter you can think of. And I don't mean that as in he's good in every position, of course, like Elite Superior or something like that. But I mean just in, this guy is an MMA fighter and he can do a little bit of everything. Uh Michael Oliveira, on the other hand, no, he's he is not average. He's not an average guy. This guy is knocking people out brutally. I mean, look at his stature, 6'1", 6-inch reach advantage. Yeah, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. So um Michael Oliveira also, I'm just talking about, the physique and everything like that, the advantage and just people. But he's a really good, like he's not bad at all. Like this dude is really good. He can be a contender at welterweight. Like he can be one of these guys in like 2 years. You're like, oh, he's knocking people out. Like Sean Brady was coming up. Like he's that athletic. So and powerful, very powerful, and pretty good at striking. He pushes, he tries, he looks for the finish. Very, very aggressive. What are the odds on this fight? -360, yeah. So they're expecting him. Now it says he's Brazilian, but he's one of those Brazilian guys that are basically like black, like they're just a black man, as far as genetic wise, like, or even African. So he's not that typical Brazilian doing jujitsu. Like, nah, this dude is different. So give me him and knockout in the first round. I think he knocks out Oban. I don't think he could stand up with him. Ludwig Klein versus Tavik. Tavik is the cheater. Tavik, yeah, he cheats a lot in his fights. Definitely recently, he got submitted by someone, and it was really unimpressive. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So, if you come over to Tavik, I gotta see who it was, but it wasn't a bad fighter he lost to, but it was just someone who, if you're gonna be like, this next guy, 12 KOs, 4 TKOs. Yeah, Orobai. Orobai, he's a really good fighter, but Orobai is beatable with if you really just lock in. Everyone knows that. I mean, he does have 5 losses. He's a really good fighter. He's gonna beat up majority of people around the top 15. And even I think he's even like top 10 potential, but I don't think he's gonna do anything against the top dogs like Ian Gary or something like that. That's a free win if they fight Miatek or by the fight IQ just kind of isn't there. But yeah, he got easily submitted by him. Wasn't really competitive. Had a good last fight. Also fought someone, but he was getting it was kind of a comeback win. Just a gritty comeback win, high pace. Ludovic Clown, on the other hand, he's a really skilled fighter. Again, pretty. I would say he's kind of comparable to an Oban Elliott, except actually pretty good at striking and a higher level at wrestling. So he's good everywhere. But this should be another entertaining fight. I am going to pick Klein to get this one done, just because I think he's more technical. But I would not be surprised at all if Tafik comes in there and just beats him down. Just says throw all the technique out the window. I'm just gonna come in here, fight, beat him up, ignore everything. That is the way to beat these technical guys. So I'm gonna go with Ludovic Klein. The odds have him at a -220. That's pretty fair. I think that was a pretty solid prediction. But Milos, these dudes have no pictures. So let's just go ahead and go to Tapology because we have pictures of nobody. So Milos, this guy's pretty good. He's really good. He likes to stand up. He's pretty exciting to watch. Also, he has a lot of knockouts, I believe. Well, let's see. Yeah, he's never seen a decision. Well, he's never won. Sorry, he's lost 2 decisions. So it looks like he's kind of one of those guys that tries to finish the fight, and the way to beat them will probably be to slow them down. You know, if you do watch his film, it looks like that. He is just kind of just beating everyone up that wants to stand with him on the feet. You know, he is a pretty good striker, and he punishes people for playing into his game. But again, he is beatable. If you could just kind of weather the storm, like he does, slow down a tad bit, but he's again a very high level fighter, a lot of experience, very confident on the feet. Noah, on the other hand, Noah is a similar version of Milos in a different world, you know, a French version, but just not as exciting, honestly. You know, 9-2 versus 19-3. Coming to Noah's record, again, he's pretty skilled. He's pretty skilled. He has a good stature, you know, 5'10". But yeah, he has a lot of knockouts. But if you go watch it, the comp is just not there. It's not there. Yeah, 0-1 in Bellator. It was fighting Aries. This organization was just not good. It was just not good. The competition was not there. Um, yeah, records is just like 4-2 guys. You know, they're okay. But yeah, he was doing a pretty good job at knocking those guys out, beating them up. But it didn't look as impressive as Milos. I think he's an overall better prospect. So I'm going to pick him to. I'm going to pick him to knock out Noah probably in the second round. What's the odds? Yep, -105. Pick him basically. So let's move on. Seppo versus Gilbert Urbina. Gilbert got knocked out by Uros Medic main eventing. So then that was a really nasty knockout. Like he put him out pretty bad. Like pretty bad. Velasquez, on the other hand, I don't even know how they're in the same weight class because Chepo is huge. Like this dude, he's a very exciting Serbian fighter. He comes out there, he tries to knock everyone out. And most of the time he succeeds. It is pretty sloppy. His chin is up in the air for grabs. But again, I don't know how he makes a 185. I don't know how this is taking place at 185. Gilbert is coming up from welterweight, so maybe he's moving up skinny fat or something. But this is not going to be good for him whatsoever. I think Chepo is going to put him out in the first round. As beat him up a little bit. I think he's just too big and powerful for Gilbert. You know, if you got knocked out by Uros Medici, is a pretty dangerous opponent. Um, you're most likely going to get knocked out by Chepo as well. So he's a -340. You see it in the tape. The dude is pretty dangerous. Hasn't been tested, but I don't think Gilbert's going to test him. Like you're not gonna get out of this first 2 rounds with this dude. So give me him by knockout in the first round. Yeah. Oh. So this fight is on a main card, and that's really bad. Dusko Todorovic. I watched some fight, and I believe UFC San Antonio. No shame. 2024. Yeah. That was no. That was last year. That was last year. So Dusko is one of the worst fighters in the UFC, unfortunately, in that middleweight division. If you go look into the fights, all really unimpressive against the quite literally the bottom of the middleweight division. You know, the Jose Medinas, things like that. Like he's in that matchmaking world. And this is his little first step up. Robert Valentine, he doesn't look the most impressive. You know, he got knocked out by Tiba Gautier. It's a Tiba Gautier, you know, whatever. Yeah, overall, he's fought decent opposition and looked solid, looked game, you know, like he can actually finish the fight, compete somewhat until he really gets put in trouble. Dusko, on the other hand, is on a way lower competition level overall. And he did sub Jose Medina. I think he was a fight that got Jose Medina cut. But again, that's Jose Medina. Like, you could probably sub Jose Medina. He's the worst fighter in UFC history. So if you're even getting matchmaked in that realm, I don't like you against Robert Valentine. This guy is, again, very susceptible to anything offensive, basically. Anything dangerous, like a submission threat, KOs. But Dusko isn't going to do that to him. So give me Robert Valentine. He looks overall more dangerous. What are the odds? One's -170. I think it should be even heavier. Rakic moving up to heavyweight. All these fights on his card are one-sided. Alexander Rakic is not losing his light heavyweight or heavyweight debut, coming up from lightweight to Marcin Tybura. Marcin Tybura is like 40 years old. He is on a crazy, just loss streak. He used to be able to gatekeep a lot, but that's not the case anymore. If you come here, look at Tybura. What's going on, Tybura? Two losses. Before that, beat up Mick Parkin, fluke Mick Parkin, who's just another heavyweight. Jonte Diaz, doctor stoppage on him. Sergey Spivak turned him back. Lost to Spivak actually, and then beat up Tai Tuivasa. Choked. Wow, that was 2024 when he did that to Tuivasa, and then he got knocked out by Aspinall, the champ. So he is an overall good gatekeeper. He Rakic is on a way higher skill level, like just overall. Tibera is just a unk, that can has some skill fundamentals. He'll fluke you if you don't pay attention or have KO power. Overall, Rakic is just a better fighter. So if Tybura somehow ends up winning this fight, Rakic's career is over. You can never pick him again. I think you have to cut him out of the UFC just for that performance, because what is he gonna do if he can't beat Marcin Tybura? But give me Rakic by a decision. I think he's gonna look unimpressive again as far as being a threat, but he should beat him with skill, beat him up for 15 minutes. Yeah, might be exciting, might be a stinker. Navajo Sterling versus Jan Blachowicz. So Navajo Sterling, I think this is a really good decision for him taking this fight on short notice. Jan is kind of a shell of himself at this point, unfortunately, and he's not the worst shell of himself. He still has his fundamentals, so he'll beat you. He will beat you if you don't lock in. But on a really weird last couple five fights for Jan, he's been going to a lot of ties and draws with Bogdan Guskad, and it's just not what you want to see from the guy who was this really, really high level fighter at one point that was dispatching of everyone, So, beating up Israel Adesanya, making it dominant against Israel Adesanya. Now he's going to decisions with Bogdan Guskov, and kicking. He can't finish Magomed Ankalaev. He's leg kicking Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed can't even walk, and you're letting him wrestle you, and all you need to do is just somehow find a way to finish the fight with ground and pound or let him back up. You're getting out grappled by Magomed and getting took to decisions. You could have had the belt back in that fight that was resulted in a tie that led to Jamal Hill getting booked like a month later, and Dana White and an entire fan base hating Magomed. They didn't put you into the slander. I don't know why, for not being able to finish that fight. But Magomed complained. Everyone made it about Magomed. That's when Magomed hate kind of started. And that's thanks to Jan Blachowicz not being able to finish fights. Navajo Sterling, he's on again, really unimpressive stretch. It's like he looks so impressive, right? With the physique, the movement, the city kickbox, the whatever that gym is called in Australia that they train at. That cool gym. The Izzy gym. Everyone is moving pretty good. Carlos Oberg, like it is a pretty effective fight style until you start reaching like these hard grapplers and things like that. But he's not really that impressive. He's not knocking anyone out. Everyone's, he's fighting in a meta apex and going to tough decisions. It's just not what you want to see. It's you always think he's going to have that dominant performance, and it's like he gets the knockout with the favorable matchup, but it doesn't look that impressive. Like it's not, he just had this highlight reel knockout, out skilled him, didn't make it close. Like everything is kind of competitive. So overall, this fight will be pretty weird. I think it'll be a stinker. It'll be Jan. Just not, if he could hop in a time travel machine and be aggressive and finish these guys, he would still be a champion. But now it's like he wants to play everyone's game. So he gets took to draws and all these weird decisions and things like these stoppages. Like just a bunch of Jan's been having just a bunch of BS fights, like the weirdest outcomes possible. Now he is getting robbed sometimes. Like Alex Pereira, you could say he somehow beat him or was really close, but yeah, it's just everything is too competitive. But give me Navajo Sterling winning this fight just through standing up, walking around, just playing his game. He's gonna play his game. Jan is gonna play it with him. He's gonna lose it because he's 43 years old. Like this guy is like I don't know how old if his birth or if his birthday's already passed this year, but this guy, if he's turning 44 this year, this is a guy that's 6 years from 50 years old. You cannot seriously pick him against young Navajo Sterling with city kickboxing movement and decent skill and power. I don't think obviously you're not gonna knock out Jan Oberg. Can't like no one's really doing that, but he should just outkick him. It'll be close, of course. It's Jan Blachowicz, but yeah, he'll just beat him up, get the better shots, the better leg kicks, not really do anything dangerous because it's Jan. He's probably going to be scared of the power. Um, yeah, Navajo Sterling wins by decision. 30-27. I think this is he's really smart for taking this matchup. I think he's catching Jan at a good time. He's coming off that I think he had surgery in April. Yeah, it's just over, man. It's 43 years old. If he comes out here and he puts on a vintage performance, I would love to see that. If he would knock out Navajo Sterling, who's been just jogging around that range recently, um, that wouldn't be the worst thing ever. As far as his career, it'll show him, hey, I'm still here. It would be a good win. But Navajo Sterling should win. I'm going to pick him. The odds are heavily in his favor. Uros Medic versus D-Rod. What are the odds here? -425. So this fight is cool, but no one really knocks out D-Rod. Like D-Rod is standing in front of pretty dangerous people, but no one's really knocking him out. I know he was in trouble. I think it was against Ian Gary. Ian Gary landed a good shot. It's Ian Gary. He's a skill fighter. He's fighting for the belt. Overall, Daniel Rodriguez, he's one of those dudes that they don't really pass the eye test, but it's like they keep winning. Like they're gonna fight hard until the end. They're never gonna quit. He's tough. He has a blocky build. He's really tough. It's kind of again hard to put him out. But Uros Matic, on the other hand, he's putting everybody out. He's knocking everybody out. He's knocking people out who don't get knocked out a lot. You could argue. I went to the Houston Fight Night card this year where Uros Medic knocked out Jeff Neal. That was one of the best. It was probably the best knockout I've ever seen live. He put him out cold. Worse than I don't know, worse than Protez. So Protez is responsible for Jeff Neal's just downfall, but yeah, he put him out bad. Uros Medic put Jeff Neal out bad, made the snot come out of it right out of his nose. And he's been doing that to everybody. He's been fighting decent opposition. He has 3 losses. I'm pretty sure his grappling is sus, but D-Rod won't be able to exploit that here because he's not really the highest level grappler. He's just a tough Mexican. So, that Mexican fight style, just, hey, I'm not going to quit. I'm tough. You can't really knock me out unless you hit super hard or dangerous. Yeah, it's pretty effective. It's basically a budget Marab style, just hey, I'm going to keep coming, papa, clinch a little bit, land a good shot here and there, got decent pop in the hands, not just completely pillow hands. Uros Medic is overall more dangerous, and I think the guys just described, the ones who do have that talent to put people out. I think it is Uros Medic. Uros Medic, when he touches people, they go down. He's not going to decisions. This dude's trying to finish fights. He's trying to kill people in there. He really he leaves people unconscious. Gilbert, the guy we talked about on the prelims, he put him out bad. He puts everyone out bad. And he's just an overall really, really violent fighter. So Uros Medic should be another guy to I think he's gonna give D-Rod the worst knockout he's ever had. I don't think D-Rod has much to offer. You can fluke Uros Medic if you have good power. Like he is chinny. He is chinny. But D-Rod, he could fluke him, but again, I can't pick people based on a puncher's chance. Uros Medic is overall just the more dangerous, the higher level fighter. He's fight the better opposition. But don't sleep on D-Rod. You can't sleep on him. Uros Medic should knock him out. I would say Uros Medic comes out hot, and D-Rod likes to engage. So this could be a first round finish. I know that's a hot take. I know some people might think this is gonna not be an amazing watch, but this will be an amazing watch. They come to fight. This will be entertaining. This car, that's why this car isn't that bad. The good fights, they will be entertaining. Uros Medic is gonna fight D-Rod, and Uros Medic is gonna knock him out. You know, D-Rod's just got out of prison. He's been in there doing training with bad nutrition. All, you know, obviously he can't control that he's in prison. But overall, how can you pick a guy coming out of prison, you know, for over a year to go ahead and stop Uros Medic, right? Stop the win streak of Uros Medic. That's not going to happen. If you pick him, you don't know ball. The odds are heavily in his favor. Vegas agrees. He should knock D-Rod out. Give me first round knockout Uros Medic. Could go into the second. D-Rod is tough. Maybe he like hurts him. But Uros Medic has killer instinct. So I think if he does anything significant, it's over. So give me first round knockout Uros Medic. Probably something violent. You know, it won't be a TKO. This dude puts people out cold. First round knockout. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Subscribe if you made it this far. See you in the next.